So what's going on, guys? It is JM, it is speedboxing. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel before you click onto any of these videos. Also comment below in the comment section if you guys have any opinions on what I'm saying in any of these videos. Like always, it is appreciated if you guys could drop me a quick sub or two on my channel. So these are my predictions for the boxing this weekend. I'm going to cover the two main fights that are happening this weekend. You've got Josh Warrington taking on Lee Selby for Lee Selby's IBF featherweight title, and in the later hours in Canada, you've got Adonis Stevenson, the WBC light heavyweight champion, taking on Stevenson-Jack in a very interesting matchup. So I'm going to make a prediction now for both of these fights. I'm going to start off with the Warrington-Selby fight, and you know what I mean, this build up to this fight has been very, very hostile. You know what I mean, Josh Warrington's from Leeds, and the fans in Leeds come across very, very hostile, like probably one of the most hostile places in the UK right now. Like, they're a very, very passionate football crowd, you know what I mean, the Josh Warrington fans and the fans in Leeds. And today, after the weigh-in, apparently Lee Selby's team, or some members of his teams, were physically attacked by Josh Warrington supporters, and apparently Lee Selby was getting abuse when he was trying to leave the weigh-in and stuff like that by a few fans, and there's a video online if you guys want to check it out for yourself. So it's been very, very hostile. The fans have been trying to make it very hard for Lee Selby, trying to get into his mind. Josh Warrington has been trying to get into Lee Selby's mind, because in terms of boxing ability, Lee Selby is the better fighter by far. But there's something about Lee Selby lately that hasn't really been the same, you know what I mean? Ever since Lee Selby won the world title, he hasn't really been the same, you know what I mean? He had that defense in the United States against Fernando Montiel, and he coasted to victory in that fight, you know what I mean? It was a pretty dull fight, and then he fought that guy, what was the guy's name? Eric Hunter. He was dropped in that fight and stuff like that. And then he's had a couple of other fights since on ITV shows, and recently with Frank Warren. And you know what I mean, he's looked a bit sluggish. He looks like he isn't really there, you know what I mean, when he's fighting at the minute, Lee Selby. He isn't really in that groove that he was before he picked up the world title, you know what I mean? And when he picked up the world title against Gradovic. And in his last fight, he seemed to gas out a little bit, Lee Selby, in the later rounds against that Mexican guy. He was winning the fight easily. He was dominating the fight, but you know what I mean, he still looked very, very sluggish in there, Lee Selby. So hopefully he comes to the fight tomorrow night and turns up in better condition and stuff like that, doesn't look so sluggish and has his eye on the ball. And if he does, then he could win that fight easily. But Josh Warrington is tremendously fit. He's going to set a very, very high pace against Lee Selby. And how will Lee Selby cope with that? Because Lee Selby doesn't like to fight for 3 minutes of a round. Like, he likes to take little breaks here and there, Lee Selby. And Josh Warrington, in my opinion, isn't going to let him do that. So to me, it's a very competitive fight. Well, it could be a very competitive fight. Depends what Lee Selby turns up, because if Lee Selby turns up sharp and very technically sound, then he can beat Josh Warrington. So I'm going to predict Lee Selby gets the decision, and I think it's going to be a tight decision. I think it's going to be a close decision, because I think Lee Selby will get the victory, because I think he's a better fighter than Josh Warrington. I think that will shine in the fight, but I think the fight will be competitive, and I think Lee Selby might edge it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of controversy and somehow Josh Warrington managed to get the fight, because he's in his own backyard in Leeds, and if the fight's close and the crowd's very hostile, sometimes judges can be swayed by that. So, you know what I mean, it could be very interesting how that fight pans out if the fight is competitive. And then you've got Stevenson-Jack against Adonis Stevenson for the WBC light heavyweight title. I've been looking forward to this fight. I think this is a very good fight, and Adonis Stevenson's needed a fight like this, because for the last few years Adonis Stevenson hasn't really been fighting much, and when he has been fighting, he's been fighting soft touches in a lot of people's eyes. Guys like Thomas Williams Jr. and Andres Fonfara for the second time, you know what I mean? Fights that he shouldn't really be taking at this stage of his career. He should be taking higher level fights. He should have been fighting his mandatory in Eleider Alvarez, you know what I mean? Or Vodcek, guys like that who are highly ranked with the WBC in the light heavyweight division. It got so bad for Eleider Alvarez, he's gone a different route. Like, he's fighting Sergey Kovalev in, is it June or July? Well, he's fighting Sergey Kovalev next to Eleider Alvarez. He had to go a different route, because for like 2.5 years almost, he's been the mandatory for Adonis Stevenson. He's fought about 500 title eliminators, and he still hasn't got his opportunity. So You know what I mean? The guy can't wait forever. But Adonis Stevenson, you know what I mean? He's 40 years old now. He has definitely slowed down. He does get hit a lot more than what he did when he was beating the likes of Chad Dawson and Tony Bellew. Like Adonis Stevenson, he isn't really the biggest light heavyweight. Obviously, he started his career off at super middleweight. He was highly touted at super middleweight. I think he was mandatory for Carl Froch's IBF title all them years ago. But then he moved up to light heavyweight, took on Chad Dawson and took him out in spectacular fashion. But it isn't really the same Adonis Stevenson anymore. But one thing that still remains with Adonis Stevenson is that freakish power that he holds in his left hand. Like, I'm not sure any guy in the light heavyweight division can take that left hand off Adonis Stevenson. Guys like Sergey Kovalev, Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol, Badou Jack. I don't think these guys can take this left hand. So I think tomorrow night, Badou Jack's going to be trying to circle that left hand, trying to get away from it for the first few rounds. I think he'll be on his bike for the first few rounds because he stands there in line for that left hand. Then Adonis Stevenson's going to catch him, especially early, because early on, Adonis Stevenson's very sharp, but in the later rounds, he tends to get a little bit ragged, Adonis Stevenson, and I think that's Badou Jack's best bet to try and win the fight. I think for the first few rounds, he's got to try and get on his bike a little bit, you know what I mean, try and evade that left hand, because Adonis Stevenson will be gunning with it. Like a lot of people say, he's a one-trick pony with that left hand, so he's going to be gunning with that left hand to try and take Badou Jack's head off at the end of the day, and I think he would be able to take Badou Jack out with that left hand, because Badou Jack's been knocked out before by Derek Edwards. He was dropped by James DeGale a few fights ago, you know what I mean, and plus he's fighting a very formidable puncher in Adonis Stevenson. So for the first couple of rounds, Badou Jack's got to really get on his bike for 3 or 4 or 5 rounds, you know what I mean, and then try and drag Adonis Stevenson into the later rounds and then try and take over with the pressure that he puts on his opponents. Badou Jack, he's very, very physically strong, but you know what I mean, he doesn't really want to try and make it too much of a dogfight on the inside, because even though Adonis Stevenson is a very, very good long-range boxer, on the inside he's not too bad either, Adonis Stevenson. But Badou Jack don't want to try and fight Adonis Stevenson from the outside too much. He's going to try and get in, but at the end of the day, he's still got to be kind of wary of the power, because Adonis Stevenson is still pretty dangerous on the inside. So Badou Jack, he's going to have to try and box to a game plan. He's going to have to try and evade the power of Adonis Stevenson the best he can, and it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts if he does get caught with his left hand by Adonis Stevenson. But 5 6 years ago, I would have said Adonis Stevenson is going to knock Badou Jack out, but now I think it's a very, very close fight, and I'm going to say that Adonis Stevenson's going to win the fight. I think he'll win the fight maybe on points or a late stoppage against Badou Jack. I'm going to go with points. I think it'll be a very close fight, but I think Adonis Stevenson, because he's in Canada, because he's a cash cow in Canada, I think if it's a competitive close fight, I think he'll get the nod on the scorecards and he'll live to fight another day. Or maybe they're sick of Adonis Stevenson. Maybe the boxing politics and the people in boxing are sick of Adonis Stevenson holding this WBC title hostage. And you've got guys like Badou Jack who will fight anyone. Like, just look at Badou Jack's resume for his last 6 fights. Guys like Anthony Durrell, his first world title defense against George Groves, and then he fought Lucien Boutte, James DeGale, Nathan Cleverly, now Adonis Stevenson. You know what I mean? This guy is taking on all comers as a super middleweight and now as a light heavyweight. This guy's had 2 fights at light heavyweight. Well, he's had 1 fight. It'll be 2 fights tomorrow when he fights Stevenson. But he's had 1 fight at light heavyweight against Nathan Cleverly, who's a former 2-time light heavyweight champion, and now he's fighting Adonis Stevenson, who's been a long reigning WBC light heavyweight champion. Like, Badou Jack isn't messing around, but I think that Adonis Stevenson may get the nod if the fight goes to points, and I'll be picking points in my opinion. I think the fight could end up being a very cagey affair, both guys respecting each other, you know what I mean, Adonis Stevenson knowing that he's seen better days, but I think eventually he's going to try and take Badou Jack out with that left hand. It's going to be interesting to see what Badou Jack does, but I'll be picking Adonis Stevenson on points. That's what I'm going with. Comment below in the comment section. What do you guys think of this? It's JM, it's Speedboxing.